This is Straight Talk with Atlanta native Greg Fann, the preacher man, and his sidekick Shanan Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fann, the preacher man.
Well, welcome today to another edition of Straight Talk with my friend and brother and colleague and co-host and anchor, and it's a Robin celebrated 20 years on the other day, and Shanan and I are being together on this program. We'll celebrate. Well, it hasn't been quite 20, but we're celebrating our 7th year. We're going into our 7th year as being on Straight Talk together as co-hosts on the program. I've been doing it for the last, I guess, 3 years, 4 years, before years, going into 4 years. Shanan joined me last year, right? You joined?
Things changed when I came.
Well, you don't really want me to say, do you? You really don't want me to say, do you?
Go down, go up.
You really don't. You really don't want to say. But anyway, we're celebrating. We're going in our 7th year and celebrating our 7th year.
You can use test marketing.
Yeah, they are.
Where's the market? You know, with him in studio, out of studio.
I think
what's going on.
I think better what happened with it. I mean, you really want to know the truth.
What's the truth?
It's better when you're in than when you're out. If you want to check out the ratings, better in when you're in than when you're out. You know.
But I'm happy to do this for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. We made it through COVID, and there's still, and people, it's still, we thank God that we made it through. We just thank God that we made it through, and churches are opening back up, and people have done what they needed to do to keep the church doors open, even though they were not in church, but they still made sure that the house of worship was still taken care of and it was open. And so we thank God for that. Today we have a very interesting guest. We have Roger Bruce. Roger Bruce, state representative.
Roger Bruce will produce again.
Right, Roger Bruce will produce again. Okay. And Roger has been there a few years, and he's been fighting for equality and equity in contracts for minorities.
Yeah.
And he'll talk a little bit about that and where that's going in my interview with him on the program today. I want to just thank him for stopping by and being a part of Straight Talk today. Well, Shanan, we got Miss C, always Miss C, but we'll be back on the other side after Miss C. Then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more, because we're going to talk about some of this stuff still going on with this insurrection. Some of the things that's coming out, man. It's really crazy. You know what? It's coming out because, it needs to come out. People need to know the corruption and they almost throwing our government, our democracy, doing away with democracy. And Roger and I talked about the gun bill too, and we'll talk a little bit about that. You and I on the other side. We'll be back on the other side with Shanan and myself with after Miss C and Straight Talk News. And don't forget, send your news and information to Miss C. If you want to be a guest, it is on the screen. Just go to straighttalknews@gmail.com. straighttalknews@gmail.com. We'll see you on the other side. Oh, before you go to the other side, hit that like button. Make comments, subscribe to the channel, and share with your YouTube family.
Hi, Miss C here with your 3-minute news blast or more. Hey Greg, hey Shanan, hope y'all are doing well today. Well, let me tell you, every Sunday at 12 noon, you can join the Praise and Worship Celebration Center at 96 South Zach Hinton Parkway in McDonough for their Impact Hour Word and Worship with Bishop J.D. Means Sr. I knew Bishop Means from our days at WYZE, and I was wondering where he was. Now I know he's in McDonough. The Pittsburgh Ministerial Alliance will sponsor an Easter egg hunt and grocery giveaway Saturday, April 16th, 3 p.m. at Pittman Park, 950 Garibaldi Street in Atlanta. There will be a free food drive-through April 16th from 10 to 2 at In His Great Name Ministries, 81 Dodge Street in Fairburn, Georgia. You can contact them at 770-964-8364 for more details. Spring Revival will be held April 13th through the 15th, 7:30 p.m. at New Zion Baptist, 2100 Abner Place in Northwest Atlanta. Bishop L. Dante Smith will be the guest evangelist. Reverend Jairus Dorsey is senior pastor. You can also join them on Facebook Live. Listen, I'd like for you to do 3 things for me. I'd like for you to share, and I'd like for you to subscribe, and I'd like for you to like us. Those 3 things would help us out greatly. And listen, if you'd like for us to announce any of your events, church socials or class reunions, whatever your event, you can send them to Straight Talk News 1362 at gmail.com. Yeah, you can email them to Straight Talk News 1362 at gmail.com. And you know what? I'm so happy I got through without having one senior moment. And that's going to do it for Miss C. We'll see you next time, okay? Take care.
Well, Miss C. Good old Miss C. You didn't tell a joke today. And you remembered your lines. You didn't have a senior moment. How about that, Miss C?
I just want to say that she's always classy.
Oh, she's classy.
She's classy.
She's classy.
And our dress us, we look like 2 hobos.
Well, yeah, you know, that's all right.
Miss C, you know, she just brings that dignity of the old church woman. You know what I mean? That we've gotten away from.
Well, I would say this to you: if she did, her grandmother would get out the grave.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll tell you that, because Miss C was she was pretty much raised by her grandmother, and her grandmother, Miss Bobby, didn't play the radio.
They don't, you know, and the thing is folk get away from that. Like, remember church mother?
Right.
So you get in the gathering, you get to a certain age, you know, you're church mother.
Right.
I had somebody tell me, I don't call me no church mother. Their glasses was as thick as from here to California. You know what? You shout out. Look up at the moon and see extraterrestrials walking around.
I swear you shout out.
Don't call me no mother.
I swear you shout out. But you know, we were talking about that in the church there on the week, and sharing, you know, our kids, and used to be in the church, you know, everybody could say something to you. You cut up, your mother could be in the choir stand or be ushering or what have you, and you cut up, they didn't see you cutting up, the mother sitting next to you would just pinch you, and don't let your mother see you getting pinched, or you're gonna get pinched, and then after that you're gonna get correct. But there was discipline and there was order in the church. You know, people didn't walk when scripture was being read. They didn't walk when prayer was being offered. You know, the usher would hold you still. You got to stay still till they get through praying and they get through reading the scriptures. And you definitely don't lay nothing on the communion table. You don't lay anything on that communion table.
We've gotten away from it.
We got away from it.
You know, Jesus said of the communion table.
Right.
He said, "This do in remembrance of me."
Right.
Because we're going to forget.
Right.
And so we need to go back and remember the reason why we didn't walk around with scripture. The reason is that we sat at the dinner table and we talked about scriptures. We had to memorize the scripture.
Well, absolutely.
You understand?
Right.
You went to choir rehearsal.
You did.
You went to youth usher board. You went to church.
Right.
And God was central. We went to school and we had devotion in school.
Right. We
in
did.
Public school.
We did.
In public school. And so God was the center of our community. And when God is central, then you learn to honor and to reverence. And the church house was a place. Remember, my granny would get us. No one wanted to ride with Granny, even though she didn't drive. But she didn't want to be in the car with her because Granny got to church early.
Mm-hmm.
And then Granny, after church, would go cook and serve the poor outside the church. Mm-hmm. And so you had to stay there for all of that because it was central. She'd come to visit you. She lived in St. Louis. She'd come to Atlanta to visit. But guess what? She would always leave on Friday.
Because she had to be back at her church. Right.
On Sunday. You're only going to see Granny for about 4 or 5 days. And then she's going to be back in her church on Sunday morning. So we've gotten away from from that, and just looking at Miss C and having this, the intergenerational that we do together. We just got to get back to the reverence of God in our community again, if we're going to survive.
I agree. I certainly agree with that. I mean, we have to. We just can't let anything go in the house of God. Anything just can't go. And the house of God has become as the Bible says, a den of thieves.
Yeah.
As Jesus cast them out. But as we're getting ready for Resurrection Sunday, and of course, we both are ministers, both pastors. We believe in the risen Lord. We believe in the truth of His message that He's coming back. He's coming back again. But as we get ready now, we're gonna come back with some more. Yeah.
Why couldn't they give you a whole piece of gum in church when you asked for it? Why'd they have to
break it off? Because they knew you was gonna take it and put it up on the pew. That's your mouth. Man, if you really think about it, don't think about it.
My aunts could take a piece of gum and give gum to every child in the choir with one piece.
But let me just say this. No, listen. If you go up under any older church that got pew, you'll find plenty gum up under the pew.
We reverence God. We ain't say nothing about this pew.
Nothing about the pew. And when we went to chairs, then you'll find gum up on the chairs. There'll be no gum, but under the pew. Under the pew. But we're gonna be back with more Straight Talk with your two great friends, the preacher man and Shanan Jones, after this interview with State Representative Roger Bruce. Well, I'm here today with State Representative Roger Bruce. Roger, glad to have you today.
Glad to be here.
Roger, you've been at this thing a long time. We've agreed and we've disagreed, but we've agreed to be disagreeable, but not to be disagreeable adversaries.
I don't remember what we disagreed on.
Well, I tell you, it's a lot of stuff we disagreed on.
I forgot about it.
You forgot about it. You've gotten older, I've gotten older. But it wasn't anything that was significant. You've done some great work down in that Demon Dome. I call it the Demon Dome because a lot of demons down
maybe
there.
That's what we disagreed on.
Because there's a lot of evil people down there doing evil things.
That is true.
That's true. So, but I want to talk to you about this previous session that you just come out of.
Okay.
In terms of the main thing I want to talk. There are a couple things I want to talk to you about. One is this gun bill. I saw you on TV the other day, and you and some of the representatives from the Black Caucus and the Black Caucus, and you guys were adamantly opposed to this gun bill. And tell the viewers, why are you opposed to it?
Well, the notion that if you put more guns on the street, we're gonna have less crime. That is insane. And think about the times, probably in recent times, somebody gets road rage, and if everybody's carrying a gun and somebody has road rage, somebody gonna get shot. Let's just be plain. How many times you stand in the line in a grocery store,
right,
and somebody jumped in front of you, and they get mad about it,
right?
Now if they got a gun, could that
pow?
Yeah, could that escalate into somebody getting shot?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
They had an incident a couple of weeks ago where at a bowling alley, they got a fight over a bowling ball, and an 11-year-old gets shot and killed. Now, I mean, that's crazy. And what this bill does, now it's the law. It's past being a bill.
Right.
What it does is says that anybody can carry a concealed weapon, and without a license, without a background check, because if you buy a gun at one of these gun shows or something like that,
right.
No background check, no license, no nothing. So you don't know who's carrying a gun. They can come into your church right here with a gun.
Right.
And as we both know, Dr. King's mother was killed in a church with a gun.
Right.
And so now if everybody's carrying, everybody's packing, that it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Wild West.
Yeah.
Wild West.
But even in the Wild West, when you came into town, you had to check your gun with the sheriff.
Right.
And you got it when you left.
Right.
that's not even the case here.
Well, you know, one of the things that I see as being problematic is, and you're right about the road rage and everything, but we see people, like you said, that have been in line that have actually got into a fight, a physical fight. We've seen people, and the way these people are driving now, I mean, it's easy for somebody to have road rage and want to shoot and kill somebody.
I had an incident a couple of weeks ago. I was in the store and I was backing out.
Right.
And you know, sometimes you just can't see what's behind you.
Right.
And this car came up behind me, and I was coming out, and he started honking his horn like a madman.
Right.
And I didn't hit his car.
Right.
You know, and I stopped.
Right.
He gets out of his car, he started walking towards me.
Right.
And now, if I had a gun, I can tell you I might not have popped him.
Right.
but the reality is that he was coming at me in a way where I felt like I had to defend myself.
Right, in a threatening manner.
You know, fortunately, there was enough space where I just got in the car and kept going. But, you know, stuff like that can escalate into all kinds of problems. And I just think that it's irresponsible for anybody to think that if we put more guns on the street, that we are somehow going to lessen the crime. I just don't see how that logically could happen.
Well, I will tell you something scripturally about that, you know, in terms of how, I'm going to tell you how people make stuff, the narrative, so you say it so long it becomes a reality, but it is not a reality when we see more people being killed by gun violence, and then you're going to put more guns in the street. Right. So, but I thank you for your advocacy and fighting against it and trying to stop that bill. But, you know, we got to have more people like yourself and others under that demon dome, and not only in the state of Georgia, but that demon domes all across this country, even in D.C.
Well, you know, I think some of what's going on is if you look at numbers, I mean, and sometimes statistics tell you a story.
Sure.
And the statistics are showing that the white majority right now is soon going to be a minority.
Right.
And in my mind, I'm really thinking that they are preparing for that. All of these different crazy bills that they're coming up, crazy laws they're putting in place, it's almost like they want to create in America what they had in South Africa with apartheid. You know, that they want to still be in power, even though they're not the majority.
I got you.
And that's what it appears is happening, is that they're preparing for that period of time.
Well, when you look at the abortion law and how they're dealing with that too, also, and even some states saying if a lady is raped, a molester and has a child, they can't abort. I mean, just
they want to increase
the population. So absolutely. So, but another thing I want to talk about.
Where that came from, right? All of that, you know, back in the early 1900s,
right,
when they were trying to get the perfect person, you know.
Oh yeah.
And that's what killed their population,
right,
to a large degree. If they didn't have the perfect child, then they prevented those women from having more babies, and it's catching up to them now.
Well, the birth control pill and all of the rest is catching up to them. It is really. But I want to talk to you a little bit more about the bill that you've been working on for a long time in terms of trying to get minority participation of more contracts with the state of Georgia. Right. So, what's going on with that?
Well, you know, as you said, I've been introducing that bill. I've introduced it several times. This year was the first year that it actually got a hearing. And you know, that's part of knowing what you're doing down at the General Assembly, is that you got to keep trying.
Right.
Most bills, well, I won't say most, but a good number of bills never see the light of day.
Right.
And you know, and if you give up, then it's an idea that's wasted. If it was a good idea for you to introduce it, it should be a good idea for you to pursue it.
Right.
And then, you know, the more you pursue it, the greater the opportunities you get to present it. People change, members of the legislature change, and you keep going.
Right.
And this year, we were able to get a good hearing on it. And what was interesting, I think you came down there, didn't you?
No, not this time. I stayed away from the Demon Dome this year. It's COVID. I stayed away.
But there was, as you know, a whole lot of people came and testified in favor of the legislation.
Sure.
The chairman of the committee that heard the bill took that bill and changed maybe a paragraph.
Right.
It wasn't even a paragraph, probably like a sentence, and reintroduced it as his bill.
Oh, the chairman did.
The chairman of the committee.
Okay.
He liked it apparently.
Right.
And then I was told that it was done because the governor wanted to add it to his legislative agenda.
Okay.
And so this is an election year. I get it. It's a good bill. I think they saw an opportunity to try to sway some votes in their direction, and they put it in the governor's package. And it didn't go all the way through, but the point is, it got more attention than it ever did before, and it drew attention to the fact that there's impropriety in terms of how contracts are in fact distributed at the state level. And you know, we're talking about, between the money we get from the federal government and the money we get from state taxes, we're talking about almost $60 billion. And we get less than 1% of that.
Right.
And that's crazy. We represent almost 30-something%, close to 30% of the state, maybe a little more. And in my opinion, we should have at least that much in state contract. We should have more if we have the capability and the opportunity to present what we're capable of doing. As you know, a lot of times we don't even get a chance to show what we're capable of doing.
Well, that has been the case for many years. I mean, just not on the state level, but even city and county levels too. I think Atlanta probably has the best program in terms of minority participation in contract.
That came from Maynard.
Right.
And as you know, I worked with Maynard.
Sure.
You know, and it was, you know, his insistence that if you're going to do business in Atlanta, you're going to do business with in a way that represents the population of Atlanta.
Sure.
And we have to get more people that are willing to take that hit. And he took a hit, as you know.
Right, he did.
He took a hit. And but we have to get more people, and I'm one of them. I'm willing to take the hit.
Right.
You know, I'll go down fighting. You know, but the reality is that we've got to insist that we get an equal, and it's our money, as you said. I mean, that's our tax dollars.
It is.
You know, we put that money in there, so we have to insist on fairness and insist on making sure that people that look like us are getting an equal share of what's going on.
Well, I want to. Let me cut this off because you know they know you're on, so folks are calling. No, we're not taking calls.
I like talking to people.
I know you do, but you're talking to them via this program on YouTube. You're talking to Greg Fann right now. But but listen, you know, the segue away from that is the entrepreneurship among blacks. And blacks actually going into business for themselves.
Right.
But then when they go into business for themselves, opportunities to get contracts, government contracts, or even contracts from people who do business with government is slim to none.
And I agree, but again, I think we put too much of our existence, you know, and our dependency on the government.
Okay.
I just think that we have to find ways to, I mean, we want the government contracts. We have a right to them. We're entitled to them. That's our tax money. But that should not be the only thing that we pursue.
Sure.
And, you know, you've heard, I think you may have heard me say this before. You know, we created the city of South Fulton, as you know, and you got over 100,000 people in the city of South Fulton. You got, you got millions in Atlanta. Right? What if we came up with something, we start manufacturing something? You know, right now we buy everything from China and all everywhere but here. If we started manufacturing right here, what is a product that everybody uses?
I don't know. You tell me what everybody use water. I know everybody use water and electricity, but we can't manufacture that.
Well, I hope. Well, you said water and electricity. This kind of goes with water.
Okay.
I hope everybody uses toilet paper.
Oh yeah, they do.
Okay.
Okay.
And what if we decided we were going to manufacture toilet paper right here? You got 100,000 people in the city of South Fulton. You got millions in Atlanta. you got East Point, College Park, you got all these places. If we decide we're gonna manufacture toilet paper right here, and we're gonna put on the label, made in South Fulton,
Okay.
or made in Atlanta, or whatever, and you get those millions of people to buy that toilet paper, what does that do to a black business?
Oh man, it opens up a whole lot of other opportunities. A whole lot of other opportunities.
Okay, so now we're making toilet paper. Cut that paper a different way. Now you can make
Paper
paper
towels.
towels. You can make tissues.
Yeah, right.
You could do all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, let's start thinking outside the box and not put all of our, existence and our survival in the hands of the government, because
Gotcha.
what the government gives, the government can take away.
Right.
Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
So what I'm suggesting is that we find things that we, as consumers, things that we use and make them ourselves.
I got you. I got you.
And they've done it a little bit with, some of the
Hair care products and all that other kind of stuff.
And think back, and if you think back during the civil rights movement, the height of the civil rights movement, all of that was paid for by black businesses.
Right.
And then somebody, came up with, well, we want equality and all the other things, and we do, and we have a right to it. But I think they misinterpreted what that was. And all of those black businesses went away. They made us part of their business.
Right.
We didn't promote our own businesses and get an equal opportunity for our businesses to be successful. We just got rid of our businesses and went over to what they were doing.
Right, we sold our businesses, the Auburn Avenues and the Hunter Streets in the community.
Back in the 60s and 70s, you went down Auburn Avenue, you saw booming black businesses everywhere. Auburn Avenue, Bankhead, and all of that went away.
Right.
We got to go back, and not all the way back, but we got to go back to where we own the businesses and that we're not working for somebody else all the time. I mean, hope I'm making sense.
You are making sense, but I do want to just want to wrap this up, but you're making a lot of sense, because we need to have more black entrepreneurs. I grew up on Hunter Street, which is now Martin Luther King, and everything was in our community. The movie theater, the D&W, the restaurant, the Shoe Shine Parlor, Fraser Cafeteria, Pastor Brothers, black service station, government service owned by blacks there. Tier Pharmacy, all the black businesses contained in the community, in our community. The only business that was there that was not black was Colonial Grocery Store.
Right.
That was our major grocery store.
I grew up in Harlem, New York.
Right.
And 2 blocks from the Apollo Theater.
Okay.
And it was the same thing up there. And but all the black businesses disappeared.
Right. They left.
And black businesses are the ones that funded that civil rights movement.
Right.
All those things that Dr. King needed, that came from black businesses, a chunk of it. And I'm just saying, if we continue to put all of our, our hope for survival in the hands of the government, we're in trouble.
I think so.
That's not the way to do it.
I think so. I agree with you 100%. One thing that you do annually each year, you do your fishing. Yeah, let's talk about that. It's coming up. It's coming up
on May the 14th.
All right.
At Sweetwater Creek State Park, which is a park that your tax dollars pay for.
and East Point draw their water from it too.
East Point draw their water from it.
Yeah.
And but we stocked the lake. Put about 2,500 pounds of fish in there the day before. I give all the kids fishing poles. I know I've given away 10,000 fishing poles over the years, at least that or more. And you're a pastor,
right?
What's the saying? You teach a man to fish, or what?
Yeah, well, if you give him a fish, he'll only eat one day. But if you teach him to fish, he'll eat for the rest of life.
And I don't know how many kids we done taught to fish over the years, but it'll be the 14th of May, Sweetwater Creek State Park. Everything is free. So, and what I like about it too is if you are a dad, this is a perfect opportunity for you to bond with your child. Come out there, meet all kinds of nice people. And sometimes, you know, we have to separate ourselves from some of this craziness that's going on. It's peaceful out there. You know, we also do a walk every Tuesday.
Yeah, I know you're walking. You try to get me out there to walk, but I walk here.
but every Tuesday, you know, we meet at the visitor center at 8:45, and we walk the trails. And you're breathing fresh air. You got water flowing, and it's just a beautiful experience. And it's a park that black folks just don't utilize. They didn't know it was there until I started doing all of this stuff over there. And but it's a great place to be.
So Roger, I want to thank you for just what you're doing and what you have been doing, and for your fighting spirit. So keep fighting for us.
All right.
I know you're up for re-election, and I wish you the best in terms of your re-election bid. But just keep fighting for us, because I know you'll fight anyway. It doesn't make any difference where you be at. You're just going to be fighting and standing up for us. And my last statement I'm going to make, and this is from the scriptures also too. That was a story about a man by the name of Mordecai, who was a Jew. And he had a niece by the name of Esther, who married the king. And Mordecai, the Jewish leaders, not Jewish leaders, but the leaders under the king, Haman, Haman, the wicked Haman, he wanted Mordecai killed because Mordecai was a threat to him. And so when Mordecai found out that they were trying to kill him and the Jews, he went to his niece Esther, and he said to Esther, you need to go talk to your husband. She said, well, I can't talk to him unless he extend the golden scepter. He said this to her, Esther, don't forget that you're a Jew. If the Jews die, guess who else gonna die? She said, if I perish, let me perish. I'm going to see the king. So what I want to say to you is that you have been that person that's been in the demon dome, that have stood up for us regardless as to the threats or the dislike or the displeasure. You've been that person that stood up, and you've gone to see the king, not one time, but many times, standing up fighting for our people. But thank you so very much, my brother.
Thank you, man.
All righty. God bless.
Thank you.
Well, Shannon, hey, you know, man, Roger Bruce, you know what ain't nothing but truth. But you know what I love about Rogers? You know, really, he's the same all the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't change. He just like this, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing that he's doing with the kids, the fishing thing, and teaching and helping fathers and sons to bond and people to bond annually, and he's been doing it. That's a wonderful thing. But what he has shared to us about not depending on government and the contracts and trying to get contracts from government, even though he's pushing that the contracts, that because we put so much money into state government, then the minorities ought to get a certain percent back to be able to do business with the government.
Yeah.
But we need to be thinking more about being entrepreneurs ourselves. And I'm sure that you can agree with that.
That's what I am. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and I was raised by entrepreneurs. Yeah, I do. And if we would do business with one another, then you wouldn't need. I mean, if you look at the buying power of the African American community, even in various different states, and the connections that we have really all over the world, if we just did business with each other, like other communities do, we'd be fine. But we gave the nail business to who? To the Asian community, the hair and the, you know, the beauty supply. We've given that to the
Asian community.
You know, you got the Chinese restaurants on every corner, and we've given the gas stations over to, and then even the Dairy Queens in our community.
Right.
It's like, so what do you do in your community?
Right.
And why do the service providers in your community not look like you?
And we can say that we have black funeral homes, black beauticians, black barber shops, but where do they buy their product from?
From there.
Them.
We're both on the zoning board.
Right.
You know, we're creative people.
Right.
I get folk come for me, barbershop, beauty salon, barbershop, beauty salon. But
Right.
what else can we do? What else could this community offer other than a bunch of I have nothing against a beautician,
Right.
cosmetologist, nothing against a barber. I think those are wonderful vocations. Okay, I have nothing against them at all. I'm just saying, take that and let's spread that out. We don't need to concentrate that, and that's the only business that we have in our community. As brilliant as we are, and just look back at our history when we were segregated.
That's what Roy was talking about.
We had everything that we needed
In our own community.
and we took care of it.
We did. But one of the things that he said that I certainly agree when he asked the question, what is it that everybody needs that we can manufacture as a people? And I had to think about it. I said, well, everybody need water, everybody need electricity. And then he says toilet paper. He said toilet paper. He said toilet paper. And I had to think about it. Yeah, everybody needs toilet paper.
Everybody.
They need toilet paper.
Didn't matter if you were vegan or
whatever.
pescatarian
Or whatever. It
fruitarian.
doesn't matter. Everybody needs toilet paper. So we need to start thinking out of the box and start thinking about entrepreneurship and how we can control our own destiny. We can leave with this conversation, Black Wall Street, prime example.
Yeah.
Black Wall Street, black people controlled everything. And then they came in and they destroyed Black Wall Street. And it killed the spirit of a lot of black people and made black people want to go to work for the man. But that's another form of slavery. You're enslaved by the man. Now, what companies have done, and they've said, well, you go to get school, get you a good education like you did. Went on to good school, got a good education, you get a good job with corporation, making six figures. And most young people, that's why they're in debt right now, with getting college degrees, but making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year and can't even pay off the college loan, right? So, we have to look at what we can do ourselves to take care of our family and leave a heritage, an inheritance for our children and our grandchildren, just as they have done and they continue to do. And we can talk more about it. We can talk about black farmers and what's going on with the black farmers. A lot of things that we can talk about that. But we're going to have more conversation around this topic with Shanan and I. And as I was saying about the insurrection, just keep looking at how the onion is being peeled back and the names that are being called and the people who are surrounded Donald Trump that was involved in all of these things, including his daughter, his son-in-law, his son, Mr. Stone, all of those names that are coming out involved in this insurrection. And let us not forget Miss Jeannie Thomas, the wife of Clarence Thomas, the Associate Justice. So keep your eyes out, keep your ears open. Let's pay attention.
Constitutional carry.
Constitutional carry. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We talked about that, and in terms of I know how you feel. You know how I feel. We both feel that it's crazy.
How tone deaf is it that the governor was signing the constitutional carry bill into law when every station in the country was showing people being shot in a subway in Brooklyn and smoke, and they were looking for who we now know as Frank James, but they were, and he's sitting here signing this bill in law as if everybody has a gun somehow. You don't have to get it now. I guess you just purchase the gun.
This person.
And you just carry it. You don't have to.
And conceal it.
You don't have to have a license for it. So I can just put a gun on me now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, but you can just walk around with a gun now, and you can use that gun, and that's gonna make us. If everybody has a gun, then we'll be safe.
Yeah, everybody
thinking that's what the government's saying.
Ludicrous, and that's what Roger was saying. It's just
Wild
ludicrous.
West.
Yeah, the Wild West, and ludicrous, real ludicrous. Like Roger said, certain towns, Dodge City, some other cities, you had to check your gun in with the sheriff, But some people didn't. Some people didn't check their gun in. They had a shootout with the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going to happen with our law enforcement officers. A lot of people. Because you gonna have those cases where they're gonna be afraid because they don't know if you got a gun or not.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know because it's concealed. You got your hands behind your back. They gonna think you got a weapon in your
You
back.
have the constitutional right to carry.
Carry it and conceal it. So I tell you, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's a crazy law. But he's running for re-election, hoping to win on that. And we could talk a little bit about Herschel, but that ain't even worth conversation. But anyway.
But he's leading.
He ain't leading. That's propaganda. Hey, Shanan, and I know that's propaganda. They're saying that Herschel Walker.
I don't want to tell black folk that's propaganda.
Yeah,
I want to tell you need to register to vote.
I want to vote.
To make sure that when the story's over, we can say we didn't buy into your propaganda.
Yeah, we didn't buy into propaganda. But again, it's still propaganda. Don't buy into the hype. People ask me, you think Herschel's gonna win? You think man? Listen. Herschel can't even talk. No talk about it.
But the Hill, which is the congressional, what's it called? Poll.
Right.
That they do.
Right.
That we don't call propaganda when we're in favor. It's the same poll. That poll had him at 49% and Raphael Warnock at 45%. And Raphael Warnock is running commercials all throughout the state, and Herschel Walker is not. And Herschel Walker has not been to a debate yet in his primary. And so former Mayor Bottom said, listen, y'all can sit up and think this is a joke. You better take this serious.
Well, the joke was when we didn't take the dictator serious and he won. So let us be serious about being serious, because the reality of it is if we don't vote, you get what you pay for.
That's right.
So until next week, hey, stay tuned in the Straight Talk with yours to the Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shanan E. Jones. And don't forget to like us. Don't forget to make comments. Don't forget to share with your friends and subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime to subscribe to our program. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button, and every time we come on and the notifications come, you will be notified that we're on the air, because we care, right here on Straight Talk. And don't forget, if you want to be a guest, you want to make your comments, send them to straighttalknews@gmail.com, or you can make them right here on the channel as we are on the air. God bless you, and you have a happy Easter, happy Resurrection Sunday. Won't you do that? And this ain't been nothing but what, Shanan? Straight Talk!
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fann at FANN922@Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shanan Jones and Greg Fann, the Preacher Man.